Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Quarantography. I thought the intro last time was a little intense, so I'm going to tone it down a little bit. Much better. Anyway, last time we talked about subject being more important than lighting, about how you style and deal with your subject being the most important thing, how you approach it. However, lighting is, after that, probably the number 2 concern. It is photography, after all. So today, we are going to be running an exercise where we take one subject, I'm going to lock it down on a tripod first, and I'm going to light it from every conceivable angle to show you just how big a difference it can make. I want you to do the same. I want you to grab some sort of light you have. It can be a cheap speed light. It could be a light bulb on a string for all I care. I recommend some sort of speed light, something you can take off camera, and it's powerful enough to kill the ambient in the room. Killing the ambient is a technique in which you stop down low enough that if you don't use your flash, the result will be a black or almost entirely black frame. So what I'd recommend is that you kill the ambient, stop down quite a bit, and then use a flash to light only with the flash. This is a little trickier to do if you're using continuous light. You'd have to make sure you did this at night and close all the windows, something like that. Turned off all your lights and only use your light bulb. So I would recommend some sort of flash if you have one. If you don't, I would recommend Flashpoint. They are the house brand for Adorama, and they are a rebranded form of Godox. They make cheap strobes that are nonetheless pretty damn good. So grab your camera, grab your light, grab your subject. It could be an object. I'm going to be using a plant. It could be a person. This exercise will work just as well with a person or an object. And what we're going to be doing is shooting it from every single possible angle you could use one light from. Above, below, left, right, short, broad. These are terms I'll explain later. And we're going to see the effect that shooting from these different angles has on an object when the camera is locked down. And then we're going to see what happens when we pick it up and play around within it. So without further ado, let's go to the studio. So I'm going to skip through a good bit of this first thing. I started with a subject I wasn't super wild about in retrospect. I started with this green plant here. It ended up being a little bit too bland for the shot, I think. As you can see, it's not really popping. But I'm going to run through really quickly. You can see all the things I tried. I'm going to do this again slower on the next subject. But you can see a quick version of this. It's kind of fun. And here's the new one, and back in real time. First section here, this is a straight on camera. This looks kind of like spooky. The first one was more like eventy, and this one's a little bit more spooky. Going through next, going high and left, and a little bit behind, just about just to the side. This is half lighting. Same, but low. That's a little bit more frontal, not too much though. This is what we call short lighting here, when the flash is behind the subject. I tend to favor short flash. It makes things look a little bit cinematic. I like that one a lot. Coming to the other side now. There it is. Kind of low and high from the right. Low and high further to the right. Low, medium, and high. A little bit from the back. And a little lens flare there. That's nice. Super high and straight down. See, it's casting its own shadow there. Super high and short. Super high and broad. Kind of like that one too. It's a very graphic look. Determining if I want to be done or not. Okay, so this is when it's really close, and here's when it's far away at the same angle. You see what a big difference that makes. Finally, same thing on the other side, close, and then far away, same angle. The difference is light fall off. When it's close, the difference between the frontal leaves that are being super brightly lit and the ones on the back that are kind of dim is very different, whereas this one that we have in front of us, the entire plant is lit at a more consistent level. So the next thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to put an umbrella on to show you what these angles look like with a more soft light. Once again, not going to get into the super deep details of this, but just know that in an umbrella, it's a larger light source, so the light will look softer. Here's from slightly behind, see that nice soft shadow? And high and low don't make as much of a difference here because the light is larger. This is a broad light, high and low. Broad straight on, very plain. It's kind of interesting. Low. From the right, high. Still broad, technically. Short's gonna be a little harder to get. I'm around to reach pretty far for this one. But that's a soft, short light. Back to broad here. Maybe half. Maybe that's a half light, I would say. Now with all these, you can very much tell by where the shadow is, how hard the light source is. If it's got sharp edges, it's a hard source, and if it's got soft edges, it's a soft source. The next thing I'm going to show you is fill light. I'm not going to bring in a second light for this. I'm just going to use a bounce. And a bounce is anything that bounces light. I'm going to be using what's called a show card. But you can just use a piece of white foam core, a piece of printer paper will do it. Anything white will bounce light, and so once again, here's just harsh light, and here's with a white show card right next to it. Watch how the shadows open up. So now there's more detail in the shadows. We'll still keeping the general shape of the light. Now I'm switching it around to a black card. This does the opposite. It doesn't have too much of an effect here because we already don't have any fill light, it's just the one light. But negative fill, which the black card is called, will just deepen those shadows even darker. And I'm gonna just kind of play around. I like where this light is now, so I'm gonna kind of see what interesting angles I can get with this light. Blocked it there with my own head. Kind of like that angle. It's interesting. It's more top down. There's a lot of really interesting detail in this plant. So obviously if you turn your subject, the light will hit it differently. Now different parts, different flowers are getting the light. And here's where I've decided to go macro. I want to get really close in on this stuff. It's one of my favorites. You can really get in close and get some really cool details this way. Thistle. At this point I felt the lens hood was probably blocking some light, so I took it off. When I get that close, it can cast a shadow. I like that one a lot. At this point I started shooting horizontally, but I had a crop on and capture one, so it didn't show. Ooh. Going low, I love to go low. Makes things look a little bit more tall and powerful. Thank you so much, guys, for watching once again. I'd like to encourage you once again to join the Patreon, link right there, Patreon, where in addition to these videos, you can sign up for our Discord, where we're already having some very lively conversation. In the Discord, not only will you get direct access to me for questions and thoughts and gear recommendations and other nonsense, we're just building a community, and it's really fun to kind of have that there. So if you don't want to be left out, please join the Patreon, and I hope to see you there. In any case, like, subscribe. Really enjoy having you here, and keep shooting. Shoot anything. Just shoot. Thanks so much, guys.